everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I'm your host, Lauren Lepre, and we are back. We are back another month down in 2025. We are back with my special guest, as always, Ross and Dave, to go over this wonderful month of April. I don't know if it was wonderful. It was definitely a dark month for celebrity deaths. We're going to go through all that. As you can see, hit that subscribe button, please. I always ask that on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And all comments are always answered in the YouTube section. With that, Ross, welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Glad to be back.
David, you're back. Welcome to the show.
I am still alive for now.
That's a good thing. Yes, we don't want anybody to check out. Well, at least who we don't like. But
good start.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we are going to start out on the dark side. Last month, we actually talked about this person a lot, and then he left us. So we're going to start off on a sour note. But we lost one of the most iconic character actors of our time. We could all name easily up to 10 films, right? Rifle of all our favorites. But unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to the great Val Kilmer after his long battle with cancer of the throat. I think he actually died, from what I thought I read, was ammonia was the actual cause of it. But I just think with everything what was going on,
it left him pretty immunocompromised.
Yeah. It was kind of like that's what Corey Haim died from. A lot of people think he OD'd, but he actually died from ammonia. But I think it was all the drugs he previously didn't have him healthy enough to have a better shot at beating that. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, people have said, "Oh, Corey Haim," because of his past. It was no, that, which bothers me because he's one of my favorite. Going off topic, he was one of my favorite actors growing up, and I just think that's a tough break when the world thinks, "Oh, that was your problem. That's how you died." But you could look that all up. Toxicology. It was ammonia too. So was Brittany Murphy. There was a lot. People, it's amazing how many celebrities died of ammonia. It's weird. But Dave, I know you're a Val person, as all we all are, but feel free to rifle this off of what this guy meant to all of us.
I mean, I literally, last time we talked, I was raving about Batman Forever.
Yeah, you were.
And then he passed away after or before that episode aired, but only a few days after we recorded it.
Isn't that weird? I know.
Very weird.
Yeah.
But, to your point, so many random roles here and there, and not always as a lead, but he was an excellent, supporting character actor. Look at him in Heat. Even Oliver Stone's Alexander, a movie that most people hated, I always loved. He's a really good Philip of Macedon and kind of sets Alexander up for, everything he's going to do in the movie.
What's crazy is it was 1971, I believe, is when he died. But when he died that same day, I had to watch The Doors, and it was weird because I loved that movie. I mean, I was a young kid, so all of us in high school were it would be awesome like Jim and stuff. But it was weird because I had to retell myself Jim Morrison's been dead a long time, but I felt like I had to listen to The Doors all day. I just lost Jim Morrison in my life, but Jim was dead before I was born. That's how convincing of a role this guy did. And if everybody had watched the Val movie of how he prepped, I mean, he just studied Jim. He was calling in advance, I have to be Jim Morrison. Even the way he walked, he had to walk down even like Jim. So I don't think there was a possible other person that could have taken that role the way it brought to life like he did at all. Ross?
Yeah, you were talking about the Val documentary right there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was amazing. I saw that too. Now, I totally agree. I mean, not only was his face picture perfect caricature of Jim Morrison's, but then he had the performance down and everything else, which made it insane. Got to apologize to Dave on air. I may have gotten misconstrued or confused in our last episode. I take back everything I said. Batman Forever is a good movie. I don't want to be on camera anywhere or slandering any Val's work and what happened. So totally take back everything I said. That was my evil clone. So opinion has changed.
Leave all the angry comments at Ross down below.
Yeah,
feel free to have at me. I was wrong. That it's a good movie, and all Val movies are good movies. In fact, of course, Doc Holliday. You know, Laura and I have both spoken in depth to Philbin about that. Story about Heat. He got paid some micro salary, but he told them that if he could be on the poster between De Niro and Pacino, that he would do it. So like that's why you have his character like wedged between them, like on the Heat movie poster. Just million stories about that guy. I'm sure there's million more that we don't know, but man, rest in peace, beyond a legend.
Iceman. I mean, you go on forever. Even I wasn't
too
even
many.
I know Willow. I mean, you go on and on.
Even Prince of Egypt. He's the voice of Moses and God. And in the scene where they're having a conversation, they said he was literally in the sound booth just talking to himself, like doing both sides of the conversation.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and if anyone saw my, I don't know, Ross did, but saw the episode where I had John Philbin on from Tombstone, like him telling those stories of him not being a jerk. Michael Biehn has a podcast where he talked about he never met Val Kilmer. He has only met Doc Holliday. And he means that in a positive way. They got along great, but like there was no, hey, good morning, Val. It was like, good morning, Doc. Like he was like, they talk out the scene in character. Like that's talking about someone who's just married to their role. So those actors could be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but to deal with on a set. But he was one of a kind. He really was, and that's for all of us that grew up on the DVD, videotapes, Blu-ray. And all of us own 10 things with Val in it. Even if you didn't like him, he was just in too many good movies.
Yep.
Sweet.
The Saint was epic. I mean, again, like we said, you'd have to go check his IMDb to remember and see how many things he did. Of course, like Kill the Irishman, I saw that super late. I'm just going through them right now, and of course, I won't be able to get through it in the show, but tons and tons and tons of stuff.
Gotcha. All right, let's bring it on to something that I never thought this would happen in my lifetime. So whether you two are into this or not, you can still chime in on this one. The great one, after 31 years, got his record broken. Alexander Ovechkin breaks Wayne Gretzky's goal of this guy is now the all-time goal scorer. And I think this clip here, it says 8:95. I think it's 8:97 right now. Guy's 39 years old. I think he's going to try to push to hit that 1,000 mark, even if it's like 30, 25. Like even if age starts to catch him, they will figure out. He'll figure out, not they. He'll figure out the way to get those goals. But whether you're either one of you in the NHL or not, I always was. I didn't think this record was even close because let's take a look here at the top goal scorers. If you go over to the far right, like look at the drop off. And I'm not putting down those top 10 at all. That's amazing. Who the hell could get those goals? But you see where the bar is set to even get close to 800. And wow, just wow. Ross, you into hockey even at all or no?
Yeah, I'm a Bruins fan. I heard about this. Obviously, I was a Gretzky fan back in the day, and I heard about him breaking the record. It's absolutely astounding. Saw a couple things about it. Super impressive. I think like you said, he could probably keep it going.
Yeah, I actually went to a sports bar. Like I just had to be around people for that, and like I'm a Flyer fan, but like I was rooting for this to happen because it was just something. For everybody, basketball, Michael Jordan and Kobe and whoever you think is great, and Brady and Hurts and whoever you want to say, this guy just did this in our lifetime, and we got to see it. Madness, Dave. For some odd reason, I don't strike you as a hockey guy, are you?
You know me. I'm a diehard soccer fan.
Gotcha.
That being said, I at least have always known who Wayne Gretzky is. Like it's sort of like your Michael Jordan, your Kobe.
Yep.
You don't have to really watch the sport to have heard of them.
Yep.
And I've heard of this guy only because everyone's talking about him right now.
Yeah. Yep. The title got taken by a Russian, but who better? Now he's a good dude. Even though they're in the division with the Flyers, I've never had anything about respect for this guy. Like you want to talk about Sidney Crosby on the Penguins, no respect. But this guy's just that good. Like I so wish he played for my team. Ross obviously wishes he played for the Bruins. Like
it's revenge for the Miracle on Ice game in 1980.
Yes. Well, I'll let the orange and black reign for that. That's still just great. That's just still amazing with that game. I just watched that recently. Like this was like murder. You can't do that. That's a different NHL. All right. Jumping into the next topic here. Everybody talked about this from last weekend. I don't know where Dave and Ross fall into this. I'm going to bring this up, and then I'm going to do a quick light rant. So we had WrestleMania 41, where everybody's losing their mind over John Cena winning the title back off of Cody Rhodes, who, nothing personal when I say this, I think he's a great guy. I don't understand why the fans leech this guy so much. I never understood it, but being a company guy, he's the guy that should have had the belt and everything should have went down last year. And you had your Roman Reigns going on for 3 straight years. What I got to say here is Vince McMahon was the guy who obviously built wrestling to what it is today. Vince knows ups and downs and a Monday Night War, which he lost for a little while and then comes back and takes down WCW and ECW falls, and he owns everything. That is a guy that would Vince McMahon's a guy that sleeps like 2 hours at one point. Like this guy, even when he gets to the top of the mountain, he's just like, what's next? The guy can never settle. He just has to work. And that is why the WWF, WWE was so successful. In 2020, when the world was shut down and people had nothing to watch, people flocked to the WWE with no audience, which I tuned by once. I was like, I can't watch this with no audience. This is just weird. The ratings went through the roof. The money that this company has generated for the last 4.5, 5 years now is amazing, but Vince is not in charge. Hunter is. This is the first giant pushback where the fans are so mad. I'm curious now, is this guy going to be able to be battle proven? I'm just curious because this is not Vince. This is a whole different guy running the show of how a bounce back is going to come out of this. I'm not telling you the pay-per-views are like, I'm just saying for how high they are right now, they've been knocked down a few pegs here. And I'm curious how they make the comeback. Ross, did you see? I know you're more of a highlight person.
Yeah, I wanted to watch these, but unfortunately, I just have had a lot going on, guys, with the 2 grad classes. But so I saw some highlights. I saw Cena's after response presser gaggle, which is pretty hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm kind of torn because I'm a bit of a Cody fanboy coming over from AEW, and I just thought he had the right personality and the right look. Of course, he's second generation from a dynasty. Although I am a legacy Cena fanboy, a Boston guy, a Massachusetts guy. I'll probably be the only fan of Cena's acting in movies that you could find because I'm quite a big fan of those. But it was a bit of surprise, the heel turn, interesting. It's pretty interesting. Given
it was interesting, and then it got very boring, and then Cody's hitting him with his finishing moves at their promos. I'm like, well, what's the point? I think Cody was going to win, and then it's like, oh, he didn't win. Okay. I was like, okay. Compared to the other end when I thought they let the cat out of the bag way early, and you knew Paul was going to run off with Seth. So to me, that was cool, but it was ruined.
Yeah. Yeah, along the same lines. It's just a little bit underwhelming. I guess they're going to try to set up a rivalry thing as to how it looks, and I don't really know how Seth and Reigns fit into that. Just it feels like a little bit convoluted, a little bit overinflated with they're just trying to take every guy. It's almost like a Rumble thing, right? Like they're just taking like every top name and throwing them in there.
I think this is a Paul Heyman 30 years later is going to start a dangerous alliance like over again.
Yeah,
and they're going
for
to
sure.
He picked Steiner's son and everything, Braun Breaker. I don't know why his last name's not Steiner. I don't know what the story is with that, but yeah, bring up a new team and all that. Yeah, that's what I think they're going for.
Yep,
but
definitely.
To me, they're knocked down. Dave, I'm not sure if this is even a topic for you.
I like John Cena's Peacemaker. That's all I know.
Dude, Peacemaker's great. Love that show.
Well, that was done by James Gunn, or James Gunn. So I mean, that's always a good thing. But we'll go on to our next topic here, which let's stay with comic books. The Fantastic Four trailer dropped, and then I remember this. I was watching some of the guys on Film Threat got the some people that actually got to see the movie, and man, Marvel didn't learn. The woke universe, like you got to put it to bed. We got a female Silver Surfer, and I guess gender is a big thing with these four coming up here, and also like they said Johnny Storm, whose character is supposed to be like a womanizer, starts off coming out of it saying he's ashamed of what he used to do. I'm like, oh my gosh, just tell the story. This is like, stop. Like, these are comic book heroes. You don't have to be so personal. Tell the story and to top it all off. Not only do you bring a female Silver Surfer, and we've already seen this movie. Right? But when the last was the Rise of the Silver Surfer, so we're just doing it with the gender swap.
And Fantastic Four, isn't this the second? Is this the second or the third? I thought
this is like the fourth, I think, because they
rebooted the original. Technically, it's the fourth. Technically, it's the fifth if you count the Roger Corman one. Yeah. It was never supposed to be released.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. And they wanted you to.
Right? Was it 1990?
1994. They only made it so they wouldn't lose the rights. But nobody told the actors what the plan was. That, hey, we're just doing this to keep the rights.
And if anybody goes through this channel and goes to classic trailers, you can watch that trailer right here on this channel. It's for a good laugh.
But I mean, I'm torn. So, like, on the one hand, I'm excited because it actually looks like they're doing something new and fresh in Marvel that's not like tethered to everything that came before. It feels the most new standalone.
Well, so if I could jump in here, the only thing I kind of liked from what I thought I gathered, is this supposed to take place in the 60s or 70s?
So it's set like in that classic, but to your point,
that's pretty cool.
If you want to change it, so like the whole Johnny Storm thing, like, yes, he's a womanizer, he's kind of a dick. Like, that's the point of his character.
Yes.
If you start off with him already moving past that, there's not really any.
There's no character arc. That's bad storytelling.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like in the first Iron Man, he's not a good person at the beginning, and that's the point.
100%
is that he learns and he grows, and you see like all the way through to Endgame, like. He goes from this like selfish billionaire playboy
to
the hero that sacrifices himself.
We got to see change,
Mm-hmm. As for the Silver Surfer, I'm a bit annoyed because like you're right, we've already done it. As for it being like, I'm not familiar enough with the comics to know whether or not there is a female Silver Surfer somewhere in it, and it's just that iteration of it. I don't know enough to say that one way or the other.
So, here's what I got with that. If you're going to do the female Silver Surfer, bring back the male Silver Surfer with her. If you want to like include that way, but don't just be like, we're flipping stop.
If they're doing it for the sake of doing it,
everybody is tired. Yes, everyone's tired.
I also am not so attached to the Silver Surfer being male that I need to see his dick out like Dr. Manhattan either.
Dr. Manhattan.
You know what I mean? I don't necessarily need that.
Just like, look at that flapjack.
That's what I mean.
It is a guy.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm not that devoted to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Dr. Manhattan could have stopped Infinity War from happening in a second if he wanted. He didn't get to show up, and that's the. What do you want? Okay, I won't even snap. I'll just do it in my mind.
Yeah, Watchmen is the far superior crew.
By far, I have to go jump here also and stick with this Marvel punching on the punching bag, which is Marvel at the moment. But why were they obsessed with this property? When you start saying Marvel, the first thing I always think of Spider-Man and the X-Men. That was how I grew up. Then you can start breaking down Hulk and whoever else comes to your mind. The Fantastic Four was always lame. I just always thought it was like, is this lame? Why?
It's their OP though, or OG. Like it's the thing that and Spider-Man and X-Men, they were like the ones emerging in the 60s with Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. They've been called the royal family of Marvel.
To comic book fans, but the standard
comic book fans, yes.
But the standard Earth, like, what's really the thing? Just a more humanized Hulk. Like, he's basically we've already seen Hulk. I think like Marvel needs to put some of these characters to bed. And to me, the bank that I think could be the savior, as long as they don't freaking go woke with it, is the X-Men under the right banner, because the X-Men go forever. There's just so many of them. I think they could bring that up, which I know they're supposed to be on the Doomsday movie or Secret Wars.
I'm very apprehensive about Doomsday right now.
Same here.
I am too, but I'm sorry for a guy who's crying about it. You put Xavier in there and you got me. It's just.
But then, what's the point of their arc in Days of Future Past? What's the point of what was the point of Logan if we were just going to bring him back for Deadpool and Wolverine, and then bring him back again for Doomsday?
Yeah, you're right,
it strips all the meaning away from it.
But you're right. But it's the same thing with the Infinity War when they all come back at the end of Endgame. You undid the beauty. Now, for anyone who follows comics, you knew that was coming. So, but like,
I feel like that's different because that was planned from the start.
I was like, it's all undone. It's all undone.
But as much as I love the X-Men, I'd rather see, now that they're back in, with Marvel in the MCU, I'd rather them just start fresh with a new cast that can be those characters for years to come.
I want that. Yes,
because
jump and no timeline jumps, because that's all the X-Men was this timeline.
Yeah, look,
stop and build.
I love Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. They're in their mid-80s.
Yeah,
they can't keep doing this.
No, and Xavier's, Patrick Stewart's voice.
How many times have
raspy and stuff now.
How many times have we've seen Xavier die more times than Uncle Ben at this point?
Yeah, I know.
On screen, in movies.
Yes. And we don't need to see die him, and we don't need to see Bruce Wayne's parents ever die again.
Yeah, that's it.
Ever again. We don't need to see that. You can verbally tell us really quick, and that's it.
We know what happened.
Yeah, just what happened to the old paragraph intro to 80s movies. This is what tell us everything off screen.
Yes.
And
do a Star Wars scroll if that's what you have to do.
Boom.
Yeah. To get it. But it's one I think they should run with the reboot. I think they should redo the X-Men and stick with, for love of God, stick with one timeline. One timeline.
I think Dave nailed it. Like Lauren, like we grew up, like I got Logan and all sorts of stuff back here. But that Fantastic Four is like a little bit before our time, where we're probably like 80s, 90s, like X-Men guys. Like I'm sure that, and as you said, there are basically no movies at this time, but obviously the comic fervor. I saw Flash. I'm just like, I'm so done with the MCU or the WCU, the woke cinematic universe, that I'm just like not. This is somebody like when Lauren was saying, like, he was X-Men, Xavier, Magneto. Like I was like hardcore Wolverine, and Wolverine's first appearances in Hulk. So a little bit of Hulk, mostly Wolverine. But I did see the shot of like the Thing, like pulling like the passenger liner or whatever it was. That looked pretty cool. Out of all of them, I think the Thing is the best. Is this the one where Pedro Pascal is fantastic, or he was
the most overused actor at this point? And it's nothing personal against him, but like he's everywhere.
I was coming to the point of I love the guy,
not
but
everywhere anymore.
Well, you're watching.
If you know what I mean.
The new
I
season
actually
of The
don't
Last
know.
of Us.
Did he
The new
get
season of The
himself
Last
in
of Us.
trouble?
No, it happened to his character, but it's anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
So like I watched, Mandalorian. I was watching Last of Us. I watched all of his stuff, even Narcos before that. But like Lauren said, it's getting to be a bit much. The guy, I love the guy. He is everywhere though. So it's like
There's a
probably could've-
meme of him collecting franchises like Infinity Stones.
yes, exactly.
Where like he's got to be in every single.
That meme says it all. Like I've seen all the Doomsday ones where like all the actors are Robert Downey Jr. I'm sure they have a Pedro one. You know what I mean?
I gotta end the Fantastic Four by saying, and feel free to comment, I think this film's doomed straight up going up against Superman. Like, I don't see, even if Superman turns out not good, which I hope that God it's as good as it's looking.
The world needs it to be good.
They need it to be good, but I can already tell everybody right now the Christmas present that everybody wants it's going to be crypto. It's going to be the hottest selling toy since Baby Yoda. Like it's guaranteed. And that dog, I forget what breed it is. That's going to be a hot seller. Everybody's going to want their own crypto and all that. And I just think this was a bet. I don't know why they had to go head to head. I don't know who got the bidding for July 1st, and then they said, well, let's just go head to head with that. But I don't think the Fantastic Four has a shot at wrecking Superman because everybody wants to see Superman do good. It seems like every comic book person across the boards isn't rooting against this movie. So we'll see what happens.
Usually when things like that happen, I'll just say historically they both don't do good, so it would be surprising if they did. I've already seen the side by sides with like Thing pulling the ship and then Superman pulling the ship. Was that from the new Superman trailer? I don't know what that was from, but it's like
I think that's from Man of Steel.
The comic book tropes are just like getting unoriginal at this point, like MCU, DCU, where
Superman was pulling a boat. I don't know if it was Man of Steel or it was Batman versus Superman, but I remember him walking and pulling a boat.
So they showed Thing doing the same thing, and now it's like, okay, how many times are we going
to beat up Batman in that costume?
Yeah, you covered that last time, Lauren. His old gripes. But what I'm saying is, how many times are we going to see these characters? Okay, it's a hero, it's a villain, but they essentially do the same thing on screen. It's like it's gonna get. I mean, I think me and Lauren are already burnt out on the 55 Marvel movies, but.
Yeah,
and it's showing it because the tickets aren't selling like they used to. Lauren will tell you. So I mean, you're gonna get the.
I think it's comic book movie as a whole. Like I think something like another Watchmen style movie, like an Over Here type of movie. I think would do good. Like when I see that Thunderbolts, I'm just like, I'm never gonna watch this.
I'm never gonna watch it.
I don't even like the name Thunderbolts. That's like a third grader made that word up. Like
what I heard was like that's Punisher's crew, but he's not in it. So it's another thing. Like, hey, let's take the best character and make it about his crew. I'm like, oh no, we don't care. Just make Punisher. Like anyway.
Yeah. All right, moving right along to a topic that's not hot at all the last month, and by a guy who rules the world at the moment. So with that. Let's talk some tariffs.
Oh, man.
All right, guys. So definitely independent still. I'm definitely still leaning right. I got to bring something up, though. Everybody just thinks they know. First off, I just love any topic the president, not just talking about President Trump, Biden, going back. Any topic, everybody just knows. They know best. They're fully acknowledged of the topic. I'm telling you, a lot of people don't understand tariffs. And you guys can all look this up. But the reason I think they got the best pit bull in this spot for this particular war, this has been waiting to happen a long time. America's been getting crapped on a long time here. But one of the things people never realized is if you go to, I own a Kia Soul. That is a Korean car that was brought to America. I used to own Fords and Chevys. They constantly broke down. I don't have time for this. I took a chance on a Kia Soul. It's gold. Okay, folks? So I know, slap in the hand, I'm not buying American. Sorry. I find the Kia Soul works for me. I'm sticking with that. That is a foreign car sold over here. What a lot of people don't understand is in Europe and other countries, There's almost no Ford or Chevy dealers, folks. They're allowed to come here and profit off of us, but if we try to go over there, no, they got to buy from their country. That is the ultimate tariff thing. I'm telling you right now that people don't understand. We've got to step up here. We got to even the playing field. Look, that deficit, we're like, I think Russia's 75 trillion, and I think we come in at like 35. Like this, I don't know if we're ever going to be able to get this debt out of the way, but other countries owe us. Every war, we're sending our tax money over there. This is a way to help heavily even the damn playing field. And you got the best guy in there, at least that's going to have a stern spine, because I realized we had a stock market crash. It was all over the headlines, especially this one. So, like, I just got to laugh a little bit here. But look, am I telling you to do strategy? Everything he's got in that his arsenal there is foolproof, and do I fully support? No, but we got to shake. We got to shake China, even if we're going to start getting stuff from India. Dave, I know you're kind of the guy that's all over this sort of thing, so feel free to chime in. Go first. Do you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. I'm of two. So I get. Look, full disclaimer: I'm not an economist.
Okay.
So let me just lay that out. I get the whole trying to level the playing field, that other countries, already have had tariffs against us, and but at a certain point, I think it's apples and oranges, because we as a country are a much bigger market than many other countries, just 1-to-1, that are much smaller than us. So having like, oh, well, they have this percent, so we have this percent. I don't know that that's necessarily even. I'm all for, you say you used to have the Fords, you used to have the Chevys, but they kept breaking down. I don't think tariffs are the way to fix that. I think just make Chevys and Fords better and make them more affordable here.
Well, that's also where the two of buy American, and that creates American jobs. Because if this doesn't change, we're going to be Detroit part 2. Because that's the reason the Motor City crashed, because we weren't buying Americans. We're shipping jobs overseas. So we're making money for other countries. And however it is, it's got to get evened out. And we're always the ones, we're kind of like the kids. We're the parents that the kids run over. And we're like, they're there, they don't know any better. Like, okay, we'll clean that up for you. We've got to even this out. And I don't think there's another president that's going to come along that's going to be this balls tough for a long time on either side after his time's up. Ross, you got any chimes on this?
Yeah. Also not an economist, but I mean, I've been, studying politics and all that sort and American history for a long time, a lot like, Lauren. And I agree with everything Lauren said. Like, we need to even the playing field, reel in China, sure, all that stuff. I don't, probably some tariffs fits into that mix. He put tariffs on like an uninhabited island with penguins on it, so like the Trump, like, art of the deal, I'm not always sure there is a strategy. I mean, even some of his own economists are disagreeing with him, and they're predicting a recession. I know Lauren made the gag there with the screenshot, but I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope it just balances it out. It doesn't really seem like he has a strategy, because the messaging has changed so much day to day. That doesn't mean it won't be fine in 2 weeks and it won't even out. I agree. Definitely real in China. The other thing is like car parts, you know what I mean? And then it's like, it's funny, right? Because like a lot of the people who were supporting Trump, like, I just mean like voters, are now like complaining about the prices of things going up and the tariffs and stuff. It's like, he said he was going to do that all along. He said that last term, you know what I mean? So if that's something that you somehow didn't manage to figure out in 8 years, I really don't know.
It's one of those things where you're like, to do something like this is going to shake waters. So it's one of those things I said for myself. I went and bought like all my supplies I'm talking about like everything from cleaning supplies, paper. Like, go buy all that now, hoard up a little bit till maybe September, because it is going to be a little bit of a ride. But the fact of the matter is, we are the world leader, and this is just a big wiener contest. Each country is just flexing, and Donald Trump he's going to be our John Holmes one way or another with this one. I just think that's how it's going to work out. But
since he mentioned John Holmes there, I just want to say that Val played John Holmes in Wonderland, which is
what
also
great
an
movie.
Film.
Great freaking movie.
I got
nice callback to an earlier topic.
That's my thing, baby. That's my thing. I got so obsessed with that case for watching that movie. But anyway, tariffs. So I think they need to do a little bit more to the strategy. Like, yeah, I definitely agree. Like, real in China, like the deficit is insane. But I just don't know that. Like, he's talking about like 1870 to 1913. Like, a lot has changed economically, whereas you couldn't just remove the tax today and replace it with tariff revenue. Like, that's not really a thing. And go ahead, dude.
It's such a different world than it was then.
Exactly.
And he himself is kind of, I would trust his plan more if he wasn't backpedaling him. Like, all right, let's do the tariffs. Stock market crashed. Let's reel back. Like,
well, in reality, he's trying to break China because he pulled back all the tariffs except for China, because they're the ones that we need. They need to bend the knee first. That's why we're eyeing up India. And all this always comes down to is like resources. That's why he's like, he keeps bringing up Greenland and stuff. And reality, the whole thing with the Ukraine of us helping them is they got all the supplies. That's why Russia needs to get in there. That's why they're attacking them, to get those supplies. We need those supplies. So we just say like, you do the fighting. Yeah. Like we try to look at what all America's ever been has been what's best for us. That is why a lot of people know this, Dave. I know you know. We went to Hawaii and said, "Yeah, we're going to take this." What? No.
I have no doubt in my mind. If Russia didn't have nukes, there would be U.S. troops in Ukraine, and it would be the next Vietnam.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, and it's like China, I think, since like South Africa now, like pulling out all the battery stuff like that supplies our phones that we need.
Lithium,
so much. But at slave wages, like, it's unfortunate, but there really is no good guy in the world, including the three of us sitting here and everybody listening to this. You're all wearing clothes made at slave wages. It's this sucks. So it's like in the end, we're all dirty, but like I don't want to pay $80 for this, like we can't afford that, so I don't know how you would ever balance all that out. I cannot ever call myself a world leader, but I do think these tariffs are good, especially another thing with like all the jobs that got lost in America for overseas. Well, it comes back over. Yeah, you're going to pay America for that. Like, like you took the job away. Yeah, we're going to tax you coming in,
Yeah, 100%.
That's another part with these tariffs here. So,
yeah, I'm not obviously not for the outsourcing, but there's just certain messaging things that the Trump administration says that I guess maybe lands with like middle America, but does not resonate at all with the coast. And that's like, we're going to bring coal mining jobs back from the 60s. Like, certain things just don't make any sense. And I'm not saying that there won't be a solution at the end of the day. I think more than likely there will be definitely real in China, but like with the Ukraine thing, like we're going to go zap funding of foreign aid and all these other things like Doge, right? And all this stuff. But you ever heard them say anything about taking $1 back from Israel? You know what I mean? That's a topic they're so scared to touch. And that's not how it works. Isn't, hey, we're going to pull out of the Ukraine war and pull out the funding there. By the way, Israel can bomb Gaza into pebbles. You know what I mean? Like
that's the one thing Biden and Trump are 100% in agreement on.
Boom.
Israel can bomb the shit out of Gaza.
There you go. So there's always some Achilles heel like that where, you know what I mean? They won't address that by any means necessary. And it's like,
that's why I always say when I bring a topic, I'm an independent because like I just know on these sides, like you have to. I don't trust them. They're all strangers in suits. But to close this out, he's been in office a couple months now, and there's no guarantee in 2 years from now that he's going to have the House, in the Senate. So he's basically on like he's got 21 months to whatever he's trying to do with hands off, he could basically do. But in 2 years, the house flips. Then he's got more of a dam up. So,
100%.
You know, I'm thinking by September tops is going to be like, this did turn out great, or damn, this didn't work, and you know, another bad president.
I like what you said about and it's true, you know, that there are no good guys, and it's something I've always said. People think of history and they want it to be Lord of the Rings, where there's the clearly defined heroes and villains.
Yep.
History is Game of Thrones. Who's the good guy in Game of Thrones?
No, it's where you
want
one. No, yeah, like there really
it's
was.
It's different competing families and houses, and they all have characters you like, and they all have characters that are psychopaths.
100%.
Reality, I think the perfect way to say like how messed up the world is, we rooted for the Devil's Rejects in that movie. Like they were the good guys, but they're not. They killed 1,000 people. They're not,
they're not good guys.
Why are we rooting for them? Like, you know?
Genius filmmaking.
Yep. No, you're way right on that. I mean, and they always act like, you know, not going to go rip the natives down, but like we go into a whole history of how they were terrible to each other too, and some of this horrible stuff they do. But you know, they get polished up.
The truth is,
world, you know?
they were no better or worse than the European. They had their own nations that had their own alliances and conflicts, and there's a rich history there that often goes untold.
Yes,
it's like just as detailed as, you know, medieval ancient European history.
Yes,
but it's filled with conflict and wars
sides.
and.
Yep, it's like what we're saying. There's no real good guy. Like it's just someone's going to win the fight. That's really what comes out. Someone's going to win the fight.
The Iroquois Confederation. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say that, the Confederacy.
Word up. And, well, we kind of blew through the topics quick, so I'm going to bring one other one up. I bet Ross knows this dude. I'm not Dave May. Bad month for losing people. This one was unexpected. Nicky Cat. I don't know if you guys, this guy jumps out at you guys. Nicky Cat was in everything from Boston Public, from The Way of the Gun to Dazed and Confused. Everybody knows his particular part there. But this guy was in every freaking movie. He was in the Grindhouse movie, not Tarantino's, the other ones. Planet Terror.
Yeah,
Planet Terror.
Planet Terror was sick, dude. I loved that.
Yeah, he was in Be the Final Battle.
According to this, he was in both, and he was in Sin City.
Oh, Sin City was fire too.
And he was
I'm on his IMDb right now.
Be the Final Battle as Sean. I mean, this dude I thought was one of the he was like that actor that's in everything, but like he's not the main draw. He's maybe like the sixth to eighth actor in. But I always loved this guy's work, and I don't know what the reason for him to pass this young. I don't know if he had a health or, you know, did he have a substance abuse? I don't know what it is, but that one actually kind of rattled me that night when that popped up. I was not ready for that. So, Ross, is it someone you kept an eye on with at all?
I mean, I've definitely seen all those projects we named. Obviously, Boston is a big Boston Public is a big deal where I'm from.
Gary said it. That was his role. Yep.
Everybody, you know, watches that show. A lot of people watch that show in Boston and in New England. So yeah, I mean, it's so rough, and like we said, just so many from, you know, all the ones happened recently to you know, Hackman and Val, and it's just, man, it's pretty rough.
And Dave brought it up before we went on air, but we lost the Pope I think on Easter, right?
Easter Monday.
Easter Monday.
It was it was because Italy's 6 hours ahead, so it was like Monday morning.
And this wasn't like, yeah, the Popes always had impact no matter what, but this was the most like current. This guy thought different, and this guy had change. This was the Pope that was the most hip, the most change, and that was, you know, he's 88. What are you going to do? I mean, 88's 88, right? But I'm curious what happens up there next. But I think he was.
Well, if you've seen the movie Conclave, it's actually very detailed, step by step of what happens next. Excellent timing for that movie, by the way.
Yeah, we're gonna have to be waiting for the white smoke. But it's when they actually crown the new one. But yeah, and this is the same one. This isn't so much for Ross, but that's for me and Dave. In 2015, this is the Pope that came to Philadelphia.
I remember SEPTA was selling like the Pope Pass, where you could go to all the different. I didn't go, but I heard that like the city was like at a standstill, and
So I could have rented my house out and left for $2,000. Like people were willing to like be in my house like an Airbnb. Like people were just
wow.
yeah. All they wanted was the floor in the bathroom. Like this because that's how huge this was. But I have my own personal dark military connection to the Pope, which is kind of funny to say that. But I booked the filming of the Dark Military 2015. That was September 20th or 21st is when he came through. And I booked that probably 6 months in advance. And I had everybody all like cleared. I mean, come on, I got like 70 actors in this. And all of a sudden they booked that. And I'm like,
How do you upstage the Pope?
no, but I'm like, how's anybody going to be able to get over to the location with all that security?
Yeah.
Right.
And so I convinced the entire cast to stay on site, and they did it. Thank God.
Nice.
I was like, come on over. We'll set you up in beds and all that, campers and tents. And we stayed, and we basically had like.
So you did rent out space for people when the Pope showed up.
Basically, but they were. It was, and it went off without a hitch. But it was so much. There was such a huge worry on that. Like everyone was thinking, not so much he was going to get hurt, but like they were going to shut the bridges down when he came. I'm like, what are you shutting the bridges down for? What are you shutting the interstate down for? I don't understand this. But I wish I could have gotten over there. But the Dark Military was filming, and that was like my life savings at the time. And not even a Pope was going to pull me over for that. But rest in peace, Pope.
Yeah,
and
I went to the Vatican in 2017.
How amazing was that?
It was pretty awesome, man. I mean, it's touristy, like it's packed. They basically herd you around those hallways like sheep, but it's epic. I recommend everyone go.
It's bigger than the Louvre. People don't realize that the Vatican Museum. I was there a decade earlier. I was there when Benedict was there.
Okay.
And I saw him because it was like Easter week. I was there for spring break and he came out and did all that. But yeah, no, Francis was loved and hated depending on how progressive or traditionalist one's, especially within Catholicism, people were.
Uh-huh.
But it's just, I mean, he was the first pope from the Americas. He was the first pope that just felt like a down to earth. I mean, the dude, was a biker in his younger days.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool, though.
That's awesome.
Is there any memes of him in the Pope outfit on the bike? Because that'd be pretty funny.
I think there are, yeah.
Easy Rider cameo.
And he had like worked as like a bouncer in a nightclub and in Argentina when he was young. Like
that's a guy that lived.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I didn't know any of that. That's amazing.
Wow, I gotta look up some pictures on that. But with that, we've wrapped the month up already. So thank you so much, boys. So with that, I always say thank the audience for taking the time to check us out, this podcast. Any comments, feel free to drop them. They will be answered at this time. Ross, throw any plugs out you need?
Yeah, youtube.com/Planet X Film, Zodiac Files, episode 5 and 6 of the main series coming soon, shooting this summer. So head over there.
Dave, all you, buddy.
You know me. You can find me at HalloweenYearRound.com or YouTube/HalloweenYearRound, where every day is Halloween, even my shirt.
Awesome. With that, I'll tell everybody the party is over. And once again, get off the internet.